Hello there, and you're very welcome to another episode of the Arkham Avengers Fantasy Football Premier League podcast. You join me, the host, along with Eamon and Hector, and we're going to take a look to see what managers need to consider for this season Fantasy Football Premier League. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Thank you very much for having us back.
Thank you. Nice to be here again. Hector, I didn't think we were going to have you back here so soon when you were going off on holidays. Did you have a good time?
I did not get going just yet. I had to do a few jobs, but I go now, so I will be in the next day or two. I will be going.
All right, okay. Now, I suppose first things first. Gentlemen, this might be of interest to you. The Arkham Avengers Fantasy Football League is up and running, as we said in the last episode. We currently have 7 teams in place. We have 7 managers who've put together a team, and now they're in the league. What do we make of that?
Look, that's very good, because, we still have, 3 or 4 weeks before the football starts, so that's quite impressive to be in so early.
Very impressive, I have to say. Now, of course, we're not going to talk about what managers are in or what teams they're in, but I'm going to put it out here. We have some new managers in, and this looks like it could be a really, really exciting league this year.
Well, I think, that's quite good, to have the new managers. We had the 2 new managers last year, and, it does mix it up a little bit because you don't know what these new managers are going to bring.
Yes, that's right, Hector. And I think actually today's show, we're going to have a little chat about the managers that were active in the Arkham Avengers Fantasy Football League in 2021. I suppose, we'll start here. Our winner was Only the Best. Toboggers 5 was in second place, with Arkham Avengers themselves in third. Lightsome Squad came in fourth. Gingerpool was fifth. Maxman Effort was 6th place, and What a Beauty 99 7th, and finally Mihal's Tiger Tokens in 8th place. Now, Only the Best won. There was 22 points between their team and Toboggers 5. They hardly romped home. In reflection now, and the dust is all settled, were they lucky to win? And I'll put that one to Hector.
Well, I suppose the main thing is that they won, and
they won, but they only won by 22 points. It was hardly a convincing win. Were they that lucky? Or perhaps maybe some of the other teams didn't perform as good, and they could capitalise on that.
Yes, that is, sometimes if your other teams are not performing the way they should be, then that you will win. I think also, that Only the Best, they got ahead, and they managed to keep ahead. Whether you can say that there was only 22 points in it, well, there was 22 points. I'm not saying whether there was or there wasn't. It was 22, Hector.
But what I'm looking really here at, for a manager in the league, you want to be really decisive, don't you? And you want to be able to stamp your mark on the league in the particular year that you're going to say, I'm out and I'm winning it. Now, if there was another few matches left, 22 points could be racked in very quickly by Toboggers 5.
Yeah, but I'm going to come in here. You're talking hypothetically that if there were extra matches, Toboggers 5 had 38 matches to catch Only the Best. And
well, now hold on a second. Lightsome Squad were in the lead for a long time there, so Only the Best didn't lead from start to finish.
Okay, yes, I know that, I understand that. But what I'm saying here is that Toboggers 5 had plenty of time to get their team up and running and to make the difference in points. That meant that they were going to close the gap sufficiently enough, and, if they wanted to win it or could win it, they were going to win it. They didn't win it. Only the Best won. Only the Best was the best. Everybody else didn't do it. You can only have one winner.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, we take that on point there. But, if you're managing a team, you want to be able to be leading the way and not be worrying about how many points. You want to have a good cushion. That's probably what I'm trying to say here.
Well, yeah, it would probably be nice to have a good cushion, but, it depends, of course, on how well the team is performing. And sometimes teams don't perform. Now, I also think that Only the Best played their wild card or their bench boost. I think, yes, sorry, it was their bench boost. They played it at a particularly late point in the season, but they got maximum points for it. It really worked out for them. And when you're a manager, you have to think about that.
Okay. Now, Tobaggers 5, can we just have a chat about them? Tobaggers 5, they're a seasoned team. They're well used to this. They have previously won this league. Will they be disappointed with what happened?
Well, yeah, I'd imagine so. I mean, if you're winning and then, you're coming in second place, of course, you're not going to be very happy with that. And look, I've discussed this before. They were distracted. They were a team that were distracted. They could have played a little bit better. They were slow out of the traps. They were slow to get off and running. And sometimes when you're managing, you have to be ready to go. You have to run with this. There's no room here for being distracted, for complacency, to say, my team is okay. I'll look at them the next week. That week that you decide not to look at them could be a really, really important week. So you have to pay attention on this. Doesn't mean that you have to be stuck in it day and night. Just means, okay, before the game week starts, have a look at the team. Do you need to make an adjustment? And I think that Tobaggers 5 slipped up a couple of times like that. As I said, I don't know what was wrong. They could have been on gardening leave. I don't know, but they definitely were distracted at times.
Okay. Arkham Avengers in third place. Now, Eamon, I know that you're a firm fan of this manager.
Ha, I certainly am not. You can take that back.
Okay, right. Okay. Arkham Avengers. They finished in third place. Respectable place. I mean, I think you had at one point predicted they were going to finish down in seventh.
Well, look, I think fourth place would have been the best spot for them. Look, this is the master spoofer. He was the master spoofer last season. And no more than you saying that only the best managed to win and, capitalize on other team players not doing what they should be doing, other managers not paying attention. This guy, Arkham Avengers, capitalized big time on blithesome squads bumping the road that they had there.
Yeah, but hold on, Eamon. I mean, it's one thing to say like you're going to win. Other managers are not trying to catch up with you and stuff. But in fairness here, Arkham Avengers kept going. They were plugging. They were like the Italians in the Euros. They didn't give up.
No, they didn't give up. Most unfortunately, it's a pity he didn't give up.
But yes, and I mean, he did drop down to seventh place at one point. So to finish in third, it's a good result, isn't that?
Depends.
Hector, what would you say here? You're going to come in at all?
Yeah, well, I think Arkham Avengers, they kept going at it. They chop and change team, and they kept going. And I think, third place is a good spot for them. I know Eamon's not the biggest fan of this guy, but, when you manage to finish in third, that's quite good. And he may be looking to try and build on that.
Okay. Now, we'll come to Blithesome squad. Blithesome were one of our new teams, new manager last year. Now, they led the way for quite a good bit in this league. And you mentioned there, I mean, they hit the bump in the road and that kind of unsettled things there. What do we make of their first season?
Look, I think it's really a good season. I'm impressed. They were leading and then, they took a few injuries and they didn't recover. And a couple of the other teams, Tobaggers 5 and the spoofer Arkham Avengers, did manage to gain ground. And once that ground was there, Blithesome was chasing. And I think experience is what was lacking there. That was their first time in the league. They have to try and figure things out, fixtures. And I think that this season, if they come back, and I hope they do come back, they will be a more rounded team, more experienced manager. And I think that if they are back, I'd expect great things from this team.
Okay. Now, fifth place, of course, as I said, was Ginger Pool. Now, Ginger Pool has been with us as well for a couple of seasons. And they showed great promise, didn't they, lads?
Yes, they looked very good at times, and I think, they were playing well. They were getting some good results. There always seemed to have been a battle between fourth, fifth. Sometimes they dropped down to sixth, but mostly there was a battle between fourth and fifth. And I don't think that they pushed on as much as they could have pushed on. I think there's a team that are a dark horse, and I think that they would be the sort of team to canter along and then suddenly sprint and bang, gone. But we have not seen that yet. Perhaps maybe if they're back this season, we see it.
Yeah, I'd agree with Hector there. They did show great promise. There were spells there that they were really, really good. And then they just sort of slumped slightly. I'm not sure again. It could have been a distraction. This is a manager and a team that you always think, yeah, they're going to do really, really well here. And I think perhaps they're building on the experience. Last year was a good year for them. Yes, they might have finished in 5th place. They won't take kindly to it that Blythson finished in 4th place. The new manager and new team ahead of them there. And I think it's sometimes, as Hector says, there was a battle between 4th and 5th, especially when Arkham Avengers was there, and they were trying to catch them. This season, I'd like to, if they're back, I'd like to see that they show more attack. I think they're sometimes a little bit conservative in how they form their teams, and they need to show a little bit more attack. Go for this.
Okay. Now, Maximum Effort, of course, is in 6th place. I think this was their 2nd or their 3rd season with us. What did we make of how they performed?
Well, if I can say here, I thought Maximum Effort really showed great promise. They rose at one point like a phoenix, and then they just burst into flames and fell back down and didn't seem to really do anything. Again, there was the battle there between themselves and Gingerpool, and they put a battle in there. They made some very strange choices, and their subs bench, I had to question this at times. Really, really funny to have an injured goalkeeper on there. I think, if anything, I think Maximum Effort should come away from last season and reflect on their team structure. I think they're a little bit all over the place. I think they need to be a bit more consistent. They need to show a little bit more dynamic. They need to have, a good attacking. They didn't have the greatest attacking team up front at times. And I think you need to have a look at that and get that sorted.
Hector, anything to add?
No, I think Eamon say it all there.
All right. It's not like you, Hector. Nothing to say.
Yeah, Eamon took all the word he said.
Okay. Now, What a Beauty 99 was in 7th place. An average year as such for them. A very average year. And I tell you what now, this is still a bone of contention with me here. This guy had all their chips. Their bench boost, their free hit, the triple captain. They never used any of those. That to me is criminal. That to me is just shocking. I mean, people would take, their left hand off to get one of those if they thought this was going to help get them win. That's a bit extreme, Eamon. I mean, look, we're not going to do amputation. I'm using just, an analogy here, Simon. An example that these things count, so they do.
Okay.
And this guy didn't use that. And in fact, I think if anything, What a Beauty sauntered through the last season. They didn't push. They didn't put a run of any big extreme together. And look, they floundered down there for so long. Now, if they're back this season, I'd like to see a little bit more out of this guy. This team needs to perform, needs to do something. They need to push here. They need to go and battle with only the best, the Tobogger Fives, the Gingerpools. That's who they need. And the Blythson squad. They need to go in there.
And they don't need to do anything with the Arkham Avengers.
No, they don't need to worry about them. Arkham Avengers will look after himself. And with a bit of luck, will make a hames of this season.
All right, okay. Mihal's Tiger Tokens finished up in 8th place. Now, they were late joining, which probably didn't help them. What do you think, Hector?
Yeah, I think when you're joining the league, it's good to be in at the start, because if you're joining a couple of weeks behind, you're going to have to try and make the points up, and that can be very difficult. That can be hard. Now, also, this manager sort of just went on autopilot for the season, and while some weeks they were getting points, they had a lot of injuries, and he cannot do that again. Not in another season.
Eamon, would you agree with that?
Yeah. Look, Mihal's Tiger Tokens. as we say, what arrived late into the league and really was on the back foot. They were always chasing to try and catch up. And that's not always easy, especially when your manager decides halfway through the season to go on autopilot. But that's how it goes. If they come back next season, I'd like to see them give a go. They were a new manager last season. I think experience and knowledge failed them there, and I'd like to see that rectified and changed if they come back.
All right, thank you. And for the new managers now coming in, what would be your advice, Eamon?
Okay, well, look, I think I'd hold on to my chips, and you're gonna have a wild card in the first stage of the season. That's from August up to December. I wouldn't use that wild card too early. If possible, if you could hold out, I would keep it until halfway, or maybe if you're coming in towards the end of November, the start of December, then make a change. Because if you don't use that, you're going to lose that card. I would hold on to the chips definitely into the second half of the season, because I think at that point they may make more time. They may get you more points, and there may be a better time to be using them rather than wasting them too early in the season. That would be my advice.
Hector?
Well, I think when you put your team together and you're starting off, especially if you're a new manager, you may not know all of the players. You may be new players in. So I think sometimes when you have your team together after the first 2 or 3 or 4 game weeks, have a look to see who is overall. And then to see, is there players that they have that you don't have? And they are players that you could have that they have, but you don't have them. And you're not thinking, yeah, I could have them. Sorry, Hector, what was that? I was saying, say, you look at the overall league, say game week 4. And you see who is number 1 overall in the whole of the league. And you have a look to see what players they have. And you see, do you have those players? If you don't have those players, could you have those players? Are they the sort of players that they have that you need in order to help push you on?
All right, okay. I think I'm with you there.
I'm glad somebody is. I got lost.
Okay, anything else, Hector?
I think also sometimes, even say to keep all the hips, I think sometimes I would probably say use your wildcard, maybe halfway through season if need be, and bench boost. Keep your free hit and triple captain until the second season.
All right. Okay. No, that's very interesting. Okay. Well, I hope any of our potential managers are following what you're saying there. And as I said, we have 7 teams in, and we have a couple of new teams and new managers in. They're probably listening, maybe tweaking their teams as we speak. Now, gentlemen, I think we'll start to wrap it up.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
And it's a pleasure as always to have you. We'll be back again next week, and we'll have another look, possibly just at managers, what tips, and we'll see what else we've got on the plate here. The countdown is starting.
I can't wait actually for the football. It'll be nice. I need to get back to the weekly views and the fighting that goes on to see who's getting the points, who's leading leagues there.
Thank you. And listeners, thank you for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Be sure to tell your friends. Listen to us anytime, any place, anywhere. We'll be back next week with another show for you. And until then, take care, stay safe, be well.